Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Allie's Bookie Reads. I read, discuss, and talk about books here on my YouTube channel. This week's video is kind of clickbaity. I'm calling it Can My Neighbor Be Trusted? And this is kind of along the lines of Lala's Can We Trust Other Booktubers? But what happened is my neighbor she found out I like to read, and she gave me 4 books that she thought I would enjoy. Now, we didn't talk about what we liked in books, anything. She just passed these off to me and said, here, I like these. You'll like them too. So I trusted her there, and I read all 4 of them. I just finished The Final Detail yesterday, so I'll go ahead and actually start with that one. So The Final Detail by Harlan Coben. This is my first Harlan. All of these authors are brand new authors to me. I'd never read any of these. So obviously my first Harlan Coben book, and I was really disappointed to find out that this was number 6 in the series, because I do not like reading series. I do not like reading series out of order, and now I feel compelled to have to read the other 5, and frankly I just don't have time for that. I don't own them. I'm really making an effort to read what I own already, and so that threw me for a big loop. I really struggled with starting this because I didn't like the fact that I already felt like maybe I was missing something by starting with number 6, but as I got through it, I almost DNF'd at page 40 because I was like, I haven't liked really any of the other books that passed off to me. I don't want to waste my time reading this. I'd rather read something that I really like and want to read. So about 40 pages in, I was like, I don't want to do this. This is interesting to me. It's gonna be like the other books. And I pushed through. I was like, you've already read 40 pages. Those go down the drain if you don't have time to start another book and make up those 40 pages. So I kept going, and I ended up really, really liking this. I like the way that Harlan Coben writes. He's not going to be my favorite author ever by any means. I definitely have other authors that I like their writing better, but the writing of Harlan was really good. This book is about a sports agent who is away on a vacation, and so he has an alibi, and one of his bigwig clients gets murdered, and it looks like he's being framed for it because the gun was found in his office and other paraphernalia, other evidence, and so his partner gets blamed because she was there when it occurred. And so we go through this whole book, and we find out, like, obviously we know that this partner is not actually to blame. We know that's not going to be the outcome, but the twist and what actually occurred at the end was interesting. I liked it a lot, how he kind of wrapped everything up, and how while he wasn't the guilty party, he didn't actually do the murder, how he was involved in it was really interesting. I ended up liking this a lot, so I would recommend this. I'll probably in the future pick up more Harlan Coben, but probably not anytime soon. I do have a lot of other things that I want to get to. I'm going to talk next about The Body Farm by Patricia Cornwell, which is something that I actually ended up it wasn't the best thing I've ever read. I don't know how compelled I'll be about picking up anything else soon by her, but the reading was interesting enough. I did give this 3.5 stars. By the way, I gave The Final Detail 4 stars. I did give this 3.5. I might lean more towards 3.25. This book is about, it had a couple different layers. It was about autopsies and like forensics that way, but then it was also, there was like a digital warfare kind of aspect to it. So there were multi-layers of thrill to this, and I think that's what didn't do it for me. I came into this book thinking that it was a crime procedural, and it was all going to be about the autopsy, and I don't know that I really like reading about digital warfare or hacking, or that doesn't necessarily interest me. So I think that's really the problem I have with it, and the reason that I did like it okay is because it had more of those autopsy aspects and the crime aspects and the courtroom drama, that kind of stuff. So that part of it I really liked. This book is about a woman who is, she performs autopsies, and a little girl has passed away. Oh, I forgot to note that this is like the fourth in a 42 book series, so again, like, I feel betrayed by that part. I'm not a fan of starting in the middle of series. I'm not a fan of series at all, and I definitely will not be reading 42 books. Like, I'm fixed. So I'm fixed of I have to finish the series because I will not be reading 42 of these. That's just frankly not happening. So, okay, anyways, the book is about a woman. A little girl passes away, and I knew that there was something I was missing because they're talking about this almost serial killer-like figure and how he's back and making all kinds of drama again. And obviously the book is about, oh, was it really the serial killer or was it somebody else? And I can't spoil what actually occurred, but one of the plot lines and what ended up actually being why the individual was murdered is one of my favorite tropes and one of my favorite things to read about. You know what? Spoiler section right here. Spoiler. If you're going to read this, go away. It was about Munchausen's by proxy, which is one of my favorite tropes. I like reading about that. I watched The Act on Hulu. I find that really interesting, so I did like that portion of it, that the ending ended up the mom murdered her because she wanted sympathy. And I caught wind of that early in the book. I knew it was going to be something with the mother because they didn't touch on this in the book, but they talked about how the mom kept calling the coroner and kept calling and kept wanting to know more about it, and like she was obsessive about it. And in crime, we know a lot of times that the perpetrator returns to the scene of the crime or is really interested in the case and what's at hand. And so obviously a mom would be interested in what happened to her daughter, but the way that they were stating like she was being obsessive and constantly calling and asking about information, I knew something was going on with the mom. I just didn't know that it was going to be Munchausen. So that was interesting. I thought that maybe she just murdered her daughter. Spoiler section done. Next up, we have Digital Fortress by Dan Brown, and I know that there's an audience for this type of book, and I can narrow down not liking this to me not liking like hackers or malware or digital warfare. It's just not something I find interesting. I actually flew through this book. I read it in one day. It's 429 pages. I literally finished it in a day. It was written really well. I do like the way that Dan Brown writes, and I will pick up more of his stuff because I don't think he only writes like digital crime novels. This definitely just was not the book to start out with, and I will note that my coworker told me I need to read Dan Brown. She never read this one, and when I looked up Goodreads reviews, it was not rated very well. Yeah, I liked the story and the way it was written, but I don't like digital warfare. It's just not for me, so that's why I didn't like this. I did give this 2 stars, but I think that it's worth picking up if you have nothing else. It's definitely worth a read for the writing, and you'll really enjoy it if you like that type of crime. You'll find that really interesting. Another thing that I didn't like about this was the predictability of the end. I actually figured out what the twist was and what was going to occur like way before they told us. So that part of it too was like, well, what's the point of reading if I already know what's going to happen? And it ended up being exactly what I predicted. So 2 stars to Digital Fortress by Dan Brown. And then the last one, and what I would say the biggest disappointment was, and again, this is number 1 in like a 26 book series, is One for the Money by Janet Ivankovich. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. I was told that this book was hilarious, that I would really laugh out loud and find it funny, and actually there were parts in the final detail that I found really funny, like parts where I actually laughed out loud, and I am not the type of person to really have any types of emotions when it comes to books. I don't cry when I read, I don't laugh when I read, but there were a couple times in this book that I did laugh out loud. I also want to point out a content warning for transphobia on this book. There was a lot of like calling transgender individuals he, she's, and that was touchy and uncalled for. I know this book was written, like this book is dated. Nope. Oh, yeah, okay. This actual copy of it was printed in 2011, but it was written in 1999. So that has something to do with it, but yeah, those parts made me feel uncomfortable, and I didn't necessarily like that. So back onto this. I didn't find this funny. I didn't find this interesting. I didn't find this believable. I didn't like any of the characters, and I think I'm supposed to like the main character, Stephanie Plum, and frankly, I didn't at all. And then she had a love interest. It was kind of a hate to love story. They were lovers in high school, and then they hated each other, and then they fell in love again, and I didn't find their love story believable. It was like insta love almost, and if you read it, you'd know what I mean, because obviously it wasn't instant because they had a background, but like she hated him so much, and then literally all of a sudden she changes her mind and nothing actually happened. So this book is about a woman who's down on her luck, and she doesn't have any money, so she becomes a bounty hunter. Totally believable, right? And it's talking about how her first case that she takes is like a $10,000 case, and this criminal is notorious for not being able to be caught, and then we find out that the criminal is maybe innocent, and yeah, so there's an audience for this, and I am not it. I want to go back and talk about what Digital Fortress was about. This was about a woman who is a hacker, and she works for a secret division of the United States government, and she has a husband, and her husband is more of like a layman. He's incredibly intelligent, but he's not a hacker. He's not involved in like the CIA or any of those other crime forensic United States government companies. And he gets sent to essentially do a company's dirty work, and they know that they're putting him in danger, and his wife doesn't know that they're specifically putting him in danger, but he's sent over with kind of all the intentions of ending up being killed or bringing back a piece of evidence that they need. Yeah, I didn't feel like the stakes were high enough. I didn't care about the characters enough, and I didn't like the hacking aspect of it. It was just kind of dull, and I predicted the ending, so can my neighbor be trusted? I will be picking up more Harlan Coben and probably more Patricia Cornwell in the future. Not anytime soon. They're definitely not my favorite new authors. I'll be picking up more Dan Brown because I have been told this isn't it for him. Like, it's not his best work. I'm done with this series. I probably will not continue on with this unless I read the 800 other books that are on my TBR that I want to get to first. So there you have it. Can my neighbor be trusted? Probably not. No. So thank you for joining me on my channel today, and I will see you next time.